Prapathakas 4 of the Chandogya Upanishad, translated by Max Müller. Recording by Jyoti Taravanat. Fourth Prapataka, First Kanda. There lived once upon a time Ganasruti Pautranya, the great grandson of Ganasruta, who was a pious giver, bestowing much wealth upon the people and always keeping open house. He built places of refuge everywhere, wishing that people should everywhere eat of his food. Once in the night, some hamsas, flamingos, flew over his house, and one flamingo said to another, "Hey Ballaksha," short-sighted friend, "the light glory of Ganasruti Pautranya has spread like the sky. Do not go near, that it may not burn thee." The other answered him, "How can you speak of him, being what he is, a Rajanya noble, as if he were like Raikwa with the car?" The first replied, "How is it with this Raikwa with the car of whom thou speakest?" The other answered, "As in a game of dice, all the lower castes belong to him who has conquered with the Krita caste. So, whatever good deeds other people perform belong to that Raikwa. He who knows what he knows, he is thus spoken of by me." Ganasruti Pautranya overheard this conversation, and as soon as he had risen in the morning, he said to his doorkeeper, Kshatri, "Friend, dost thou speak of me as if I were Raikwa with a car?" He replied, "How is it with this Raikwa with the car?" The king said, "As in a game of dice, all the lower castes belong to him who has conquered with the Krita caste. So, whatever good deeds other people perform belong to that Raikwa. He who knows what he knows, he is thus spoken of by me." The doorkeeper went to look for Raikwa, but returned, saying, "I found him not." Then the king said, "Alas! where a Brahmana should be searched for in the solitude of the forest, there go for him." The doorkeeper came to a man who was lying beneath a car and scratching his sores. He addressed him and said, "Sir, are you Raikwa with the car?" He answered, "Here I am." Then the doorkeeper returned and said, "I have found him." Second Kanda. Then Ganasruti Pautranya took 600 cows, a necklace, and a carriage with mules, went to Raikwa and said, "Raikwa, here are 600 cows, a necklace, and a carriage with mules. Teach me the deity which you worship." The other replied, "Fie, necklace and carriage be thine, O Sudra, together with the cows." Then Ganasutra Pautranya took again 1,000 cows, a necklace, a carriage with mules, and his own daughter, and went to him. He said to him, "Raikwa, there are 1,000 cows, a necklace, a carriage with mules, this wife and this village in which thou dwellest. Sir, teach me." He, opening her mouth, said, "You have brought these cows and other presents, O Sudra, but only by that mouth did you make me speak. These are the Raikwa Prana villages in the country of the Mahavarishas, Mahapunyas, where Raikwa dwelt under him, and he said to him." Third Kanda. Air, Vayu, is indeed the end of all. For when fire goes out, it goes into air. When the sun goes down, it goes into air. When the moon goes down, it goes into air. When water dries up, it goes into air. Air indeed consumes them all. So much with reference to the Devas. Now with reference to the body. Breath, Prana, is indeed the end of all. When a man sleeps, speech goes into breath. So do sight, hearing, and mind. Breath indeed consumes them all. These are the two ends: air among the Devas, breath among the senses, prana. Once, while Saunaka Kapeya and Abhipratrin Kakshaseni were being waited on at their meal, a religious student begged of them. They gave him nothing. He said, "One God, who is He? Swallowed the four great ones, He the guardian of the world? O Kapeya, mortals say Him not. O Abhipratrin, though He dwells in many places. He to whom this food belongs, to him it has not been given." Saunaka Kapeya, pondering on that speech, went to the student and said, "He is the self of the Devas, the creator of all beings, with golden tusks, the eater, not without intelligence. His greatness is said to be great indeed, because without being eaten, He eats even what is not food. Thus do we, O Brahmacharin, meditate on that being." Then he said, "Give him food." They gave him food. Now these five, the eater, Vayu air, and his food, Agni fire, Aditya sun, Chandramas moon, up water, and the other five, the eater, Prana breath, and his food, speech, sight, hearing, mind, make 10. And that is the Krita, the highest caste, representing the 10, the eaters and the food. Therefore, in all quarters those 10 are food, and Krita the highest caste. These are again the Virag of 10 syllables, which eats the food. Through this, all this becomes seen. He who knows this sees all this, and becomes an eater of food. Yeah, he becomes an eater of food. Fourth Kanda. Satyakama, the son of Gabala, addressed his mother and said, "I wish to become a Brahmacharin, religious student. Mother, of what family am I?" She said to him, "I do not know, my child, of what family thou art. In my youth, when I had to move about much as a servant, waiting on the guests in my father's house, I conceived thee. I do not know of what family thou art. I am Gabala by name. Thou art Satyakama, Philaletes. Say that thou art Satyakama, Gabala." He, going to Gautama Haridrumata, said to him, "I wish to become a Brahmacharin with you, sir. May I come to you, sir?" He said to him, "Of what family are you, my friend?" He replied, "I do not know, sir, of what family I am. I asked my mother, and she answered, 'In my youth, when I had to move about much as a servant, I conceived thee. I do not know of what family thou art. I am Gabala by name. Thou art Satyakama. I am therefore Satyakama Gabala, sir." He said to him, "No one but a true Brahmana would thus speak out. Go and fetch your friend. I shall initiate you. You have not swerved from the truth." Having initiated him, he chose 400 lean and weak cows and said, "Tend these, friend." He drove them out and said to himself, "I shall not return unless I bring back 1,000." He dwelt a number of years in the forest, and when the cows had become 1,000. Fifth Kanda. The bull of the herd meant for Vayu said to him, "Satyakama." He replied, "Sir." The bull said, "We have become 1,000. Lead us to the house of the teacher, and I will declare to you 1 foot of the Brahman." Declare it, sir, he replied. He said to him, The eastern region is 1/4, the western region is 1/4, the southern region is 1/4, the northern region is 1/4. This is a foot of Brahman, consisting of the 4 quarters, and called Prakasavat, endowed with splendor. He who, knowing this and meditates on the foot of Brahman, consisting of 4 quarters, by the name of Prakasavat, becomes endowed with splendor in this world. He conquers the resplendent worlds. Whoever knows this and meditates on the foot of Brahman, consisting of the 4 quarters, by the name of Prakasavat. Sixth Kanda. Agni will declare to you another foot of Brahman. After these words of the bull, Satyakama on the morrow drove the cows towards the house of the teacher. And when they came towards the evening, he lighted a fire, penned the cows, laid wood on the fire, and sat down behind the fire, looking to the east. Then Agni, the fire, said to him, Satyakama. He replied, Sir. Agni said, Friend, I will declare unto you 1 foot of Brahman. Declare it, sir, he replied. He said to him, The earth is 1/4, the sky is 1/4, the heaven is 1/4, the ocean is 1/4. This is the foot of Brahman, consisting of 4 quarters, and called Anantavat, endless. He who knows this and meditates on the foot of Brahman, consisting of 4 quarters, by the name of Anantavat, becomes endless in this world. He conquers the endless worlds. Whoever knows this and meditates on the foot of Brahman, consisting of 4 quarters, by the name of Anantavat. Seventh Kanda. A Hamsa, flamingo meant for the sun, will declare to you another foot of Brahman. After these words of Agni, Satyakama on the morrow drove the cows onward, and when they came towards the evening, he lighted a fire, penned the cows, lay down on the fire, and sat down behind the fire, looking toward the east. Then a Hamsa flew near and said to him, Satyakama. He replied, Sir. The Hamsa said, Friend, I will declare unto you 1 foot of Brahman. Declare it, sir, he replied. He said to him, Fire is 1/4, the sun is 1/4, the moon is 1/4, lightning is 1/4. This is a foot of Brahman, consisting of 4 quarters, and called Jyotishmat, full of light. He who knows this and meditates on the foot of Brahman, consisting of 4 quarters, by the name of Jyotishmat, becomes full of light in this world. He conquers the worlds which are full of light. Whoever knows this and meditates on the foot of Brahman, consisting of 4 quarters, by the name of Jyotishmat. Eighth Kanda. A driver bird, Madgu, meant for prana, will declare to you another foot of Brahman. After these words of the Hamsa, Satyakama on the morrow drove the cows onward, and when they came towards the evening, he lighted a fire, penned the cows, laid wood on the fire, and sat down behind the fire, looking toward the east. Then a driver flew near and said to him, Satyakama. He replied, Sir. The driver said, Friend, I will declare unto you 1 foot of Brahman. Declare it, sir, he replied. He said to him, Breath is 1/4, the eye is 1/4, the ear is 1/4, the mind is 1/4. This is a foot of Brahman, consisting of 4 quarters, and called Ayatanavat, having a home. He who knows this and meditates on the foot of Brahman, consisting of 4 quarters, by the name of Ayatanavat, becomes possessed of a home in this world. He conquers the worlds which offer a home. Whoever knows this and meditates on the foot of Brahman, consisting of 4 quarters, by the name of Ayatanavat. Ninth Kanda. Thus he reached the house of his teacher. The teacher said to him, Satyakama, He replied, Sir. The teacher said, Friend, you shine like one who knows Brahman. Who then has taught you? He replied, Not men, but you only, Sir, I wish should teach me. For I have heard from men like you, Sir, that only knowledge which is learnt from a teacher, Acharya, leads to real knowledge. Then he taught him the same knowledge. Nothing was left out. Yeah, nothing was left out. 10th Kanda. Upakosala Kamalayana dwelt as a brahmacharin, religious student in the house of Satyakama Gabala. He tended his fires for 12 years. But the teacher, though he allowed other peoples, after they had learnt the sacred books, to depart to their own homes, did not allow Upakosala to depart. Then his wife said to him, This student, who is quite exhausted with austerities, has carefully tended your fires. Let not the fires themselves blame you, but teach him. The teacher, however, went away on a journey without having taught him. The student, from sorrow, was not able to eat. Then the wife of the teacher said to him, Student, eat. Why do you not eat? He said, There are many desires in this man here, which lose themselves in different directions. I am full of sorrows, and shall take no food. Thereupon the fires said among themselves, This student, who is quite exhausted, has carefully tended us. Well, let us teach him. They said to him, Breath is Brahman, Ka, pleasure, is Brahman, Ka, ether, is Brahman. He said, I understand that breath is Brahman, but I do not understand Ka or Ka. They said, What is Ka is Ka, what is Ka is Ka. They therefore taught him Brahman as breath and as the ether in the heart. 11th Kanda. After that, Grahapatya, fire, taught him earth, fire, food, and the sun. These are my forms, or forms of Brahman, the person that is seen in the sun. I am He. I am He indeed. He who, knowing this, meditates on Him, destroys sin, obtains the world of Agni Grahapatya, reaches his full age, and lives long. His descendants do not perish. We guard him in this world and in the other. Whosoever, knowing this, meditates on Him. 12th Kanda. Then the Anvarya fire taught him, Water, the quarters, the stars, the moon, these are my forms. The person that is seen in the moon, I am He. I am He indeed. He who, knowing this, meditates on Him, destroys sin, obtains the world of Agni Anvarya, reaches his full age, and lives long. His descendants do not perish. We guard him in this world and in the other. Whosoever, knowing this, meditates on Him. 13th Kanda. Then the Abhavaniya fire taught him, Breath, ether, heaven, and lightning, these are my forms. The person that is seen in the lightning, I am He. I am He indeed. He who, knowing this, meditates on Him, destroys sin, obtains the world of Agni Abhavaniya, reaches his full age, and lives long. His descendants do not perish. We guard him in this world and in the other. Whosoever, knowing this, meditates on Him. 14th Kanda. Then they all said, Upakosala, this is our knowledge, our friend, and the knowledge of the self. But the teacher will tell you the way to another life. In time, his teacher came back and said to him, Upakosala. He answered, Sir. The teacher said, Friend, your face shines like that of one who knows Brahman. Who has taught you? Who should teach me, sir? He said. He denies, as it were. And he said, pointing to the fires, Are these fires other than fires? The teacher said, What, my friend, have these fires told you? He answered, This repeating some of what they had told him. The teacher said, "My friend, they have taught you about the worlds, but I shall tell you this, and as water does not cling to a lotus leaf, so no evil deed clings to one who knows it." He said, "Sir, tell it to me." 15th Kanda. He said, "The person that is seen in the eye, that is the Self. This is the immortal, the fearless. This is Brahman. Even though they drop melted butter or water on him, it runs away on both sides. They call him Samayadvama. For all blessings, Vama, go towards him. Samayanti. All blessings go towards him who knows this. He is also Vamani, for he leads Nayati all blessings, Vama. He leads all blessings who knows this. He is also called Bhamani, for he shines Bhati in all worlds. He who knows this shines in all worlds. Now, if one who knows this dies, whether people perform obsequies for him or no, he goes to light, Archis, from light to day, from day to the light half of the moon, from the light half of the moon to the 6 months during which the sun goes to the north, from the months to the year, from the year to the sun, from the sun to the moon, from the moon to the lightning. There is a person, not human. He leads them to Brahman. This is the path of the Devas, the path that leads to Brahman. Those who proceed on that path do not return to the life of man. Yeah, they do not return. 16th Kanda. Verily, he who purifies Vayu is the sacrifice, for he, the air moving along, purifies everything. Because moving along he purifies everything, therefore he is the sacrifice. Of that sacrifice there are 2 ways, by mind and by speech. The Brahmin priest performs one of them in his mind. The Hotri, Advaryu and Udgatri priests perform the other by words. When the Brahmin priest, after the Pratharanyavaka ceremony has begun, but before the recitation of the Pratihanya hymn, has to break his silence and to speak, he performs perfectly the one way only, that by words, but the other is injured. As a man walking on one foot, or a carriage going on one wheel is injured, his sacrifice is injured, and with the injured sacrifice the sacrificer is injured. Yes, having sacrificed, he becomes worse. But when after the Pratharanavaka ceremony has begun, and before the recitation of the Paridhanya hymn, the Brahman priest has not to break his silence and to speak. They perform both ways perfectly, and neither of them is injured. As a man walking on 2 legs and a carriage going on 2 wheels gets on, so his sacrifice gets on, and with the successful sacrifice, the sacrificer gets on. Yes, having sacrificed, he becomes better. 17th Kanda. Prajapati brooded over the worlds, and from them thus brooded on, he squeezed out the essences. Agni, fire from the earth; Vayu, air from the sky; Aditya, the sun from heaven. He brooded over these 3 deities, and from them thus brooded on, he squeezed out the essences. The Rik verses from Agni, the Yajus verses from Vayu, the Saman verses from Aditya. He brooded over the threefold knowledge, the 3 Vedas, and from it thus brooded on, he squeezed out the essences. The sacred interjection Bhus from the Rik verses, the sacred interjection Bhuvas from the Yajus verses, the sacred interjection Sva from the Saman verses. If the sacrifice is injured from the Rig Veda side, let him offer a libation in the Grahapatya fire, saying Bhu Swaha. Thus does he bind together and heal by means of the essence and the power of the Rig verses themselves, whatever break the Rig sacrifice may have suffered. If the sacrifice is injured from the Yajurveda side, let him offer a libation in the Dakshina fire, saying Bhuva Swaha. Thus does he bind together and heal by means of the essence and the power of the Yajus verses themselves, whatever break the Yajus sacrifice may have suffered. If the sacrifice is injured by the Sama-veda side, let him offer a libation in the Abhavanya fire, saying Swaha Swaha. Thus does he bind together and heal by means of the essence and the power of the Saman verses themselves, whatever break the Saman sacrifice may have suffered. As one binds, softens gold by means of Lavana, borax, and silver by means of gold, and tin by means of silver, and lead by means of tin, and iron loha by means of lead, and wood by means of iron, or also by means of leather. Thus does one bind together and heal any break in the sacrifice by means of the Vyakritis, or sacrificial interjections, which are the essence and strength of the three worlds of the deities, and of the threefold knowledge. That sacrifice is healed in which there is a Brahmin priest who knows this. That sacrifice is inclined towards the north in the right way, in which there is a Brahmin priest who knows this. And with regard to such a Brahmin priest, there is the following Gatha: wherever it falls back, thither the man goes, namely, the Brahmin only, as one of the Ritvik priests. He saves the Kurus as a mare, namely, a Brahmin priest who knows this saves the sacrifice, the sacrificer, and all the other priests. Therefore, let a man make him who knows this his Brahmin priest, not one who does not know it. Who does not know it. End of Prapathakas 4. Recording by Jyoti Taravanat.